This is a special edition of Late Night Help. I'm Mark Alyn. Jim LaValle joins us. Jim has listened to all this stuff. I mean, 20 books. He works with all the pro teams, a lot of sports people, and it just goes on and on. And I want to get into the meat of our conversation, Jim. And it's Dr. Jim. You're a pharmacist, you're a certified nutritionist and a naturopath, right?
Yeah, I've got my doctorate in naturopath, yes.
Right. So he's a doctor and all that. Actually, if you're a pharmacist, you could be a doctor, right? So
I got my degree so long ago back then. It was a 5 or 6 year degree. And it was still a bachelor's, so no doctor of pharmacy, but certainly went through all the training.
Got it. So let's talk about something. Right now, we're going into the flu season, and what can we do to boost our immune system, or is that the right word, boosting our immune system?
Well, I think there's a couple aspects to it. I think you need to have your immune system ready to attack, right? And that's more what I'd say, balance and homeostasis to your immune system. Like, it's ready, but it's not working. One of the things that got a lot of people into trouble with the pandemic, of course, is that if you were overweight or obese, or you had diabetes or prediabetes, or you had heart disease or any of the number of conditions, your immune system was kind of working overtime, making inflammatory compounds just because of your condition. And then you got COVID, and it triggered an even more it's kind of like you had a little bit of a brush fire, and It triggered a forest fire. So ideally, what you want to be is you want your immune system to kind of be at rest, but ready to attack. So, yeah, it's a year-long thing to keep your immune system in balance. And then, yes, during cold and flu season, you want to maybe take up extra arms to be aware of, hey, here are some things that I can do.
Right. Well, let's take a look at some of those things. But before we do, your take on the flu vaccine, and you knew I was going to ask you that.
Everybody
does.
On the flu vaccine, meaning the seasonal flu vaccine, every year the CDC publishes the efficacy for it. And what I tell people is, look, if it's very low efficacy, like under, a few years back, it was under 19%.
Right.
I don't know the rationale for that unless you're a really high risk person, because some people get a flu vaccine, man, feeling like they got the flu, right? So from that standpoint, I think it's, it really depends on whether you've got any extenuating conditions or circumstances that make you feel like you need to get it. I think there's a lot you can do for your immune system to help it and support it during cold and flu season. And some of it has to do with taking a nutrient or two, and other things are, you got to get sleep, and you got to hydrate, and you got to manage your stress better. You got to try to
wash your hands.
Wash your hands, do a sinus lavage, do a little nasal wash. Both those things are super important, just like, maybe not eating as much sugar. All those things kind of add up to a strategy or a lifestyle for cold and flu season. Stress is a big one. We're going into holiday season. This whole supply chain thing has people in a frenzy this year, right? Everybody's worried. And I think, managing that expectation or stress is definitely a big one for, causing a weakness in your immunity. And by the way, when you only get 5 hours of sleep a night, you're 9 times more likely to get a cold or flu than if you get above.
Last night I had 2 hours.
That would not be good.
That is not good. That is not good, definitely. Your one of your books, The Metabolic Code, it kind of dovetails into what we're talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, everybody now is talking about metaflammation or metabolic inflammation. When I wrote the book, Cracking the Metabolic Code, it was all about trying to teach people that your metabolism and is more than just how many calories you're burning. Your metabolism dictates whether you're creating chronic inflammation or not. And remember, chronic inflammation means weakening your immune response most of the time. And so, key things like stress, like sleep matter, and getting nutrients in. Vitamin D, everybody's learned about vitamin D finally. And yes, you should get your vitamin D level checked. Zinc.
Actually, and my personal physician is a DO, doctor of osteopathic medicine, and I requested and will be taking a blood test for my vitamin D levels. And again, because I try to do that, every year when I have a physical. What can we do other than vitamin D? I mean, we've talked about washing our hands now and nutrients. What about garlic? I mean, that's a big thing right now. I've been talking about a specific product of garlic for over 30 years.
Right.
And can garlic help? And if I eat a couple of cloves, other than the tummy upset, will that help?
Well, first of all, eating garlic, I'm Italian. Garlic is good. I like garlic.
Great.
Yeah, there's nothing about that that's bad when you're cooking with it. I think that all the studies that have been done on garlic, for the most part, there's over 900 publications on this now, is on the product you're talking about, is aged garlic extract, otherwise known as Kyolic. 900 publications on it from leading universities on studies that show that it has all kinds of benefits, a multitude of benefits. So when you talk about inflammation, when they gave it to overweight people, it reduced their inflammatory markers in their bloodstream by a good 30%. They're what's called their interleukin 6 and TNF alpha. So, they're IL-6. So those two compounds that are really wear your immune system out. They keep you in a pro-inflammatory state, tends to damage your tissues. So lowering that is good. The other thing that was interesting as it pertains to cold and flu season is that when you take aged garlic extract, it goes into the gut and triggers something called gamma delta T killer cells, which are T killer cells, a part of your immune system, that are able to go out and identify when you have a virus or a bug, and it can attack it and knock that bug down. In fact, when they did a human study with aged garlic extract, they showed during cold and flu season, and this was in students that were under high stress, final exams, all that good stuff. They showed that incidence, duration, and severity of the common cold or flu was reduced significantly when they took aged garlic extract. Now, eating garlic's not the same. When they age it, it changes the chemical composition of it. So if you want the benefits of aged garlic, which is everything from helping the inner lining of your arteries, your endothelium, to be less inflamed, to reducing blood pressure, to helping your cholesterol levels, to reducing vulnerable plaque in your arteries, to now these immune benefits, you need to take aged garlic extract.
And that's Kyolic. The first Kyolic representative I talked to was, let's see, Charlie Fox was running the company. And then, what's his name? Gypsy Boots. Did you know Gypsy?
Yeah.
I mean, and this guy was in his 80s, was still passing footballs with the then LA Rams.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's a groundbreaking product because it's got all the science behind it that all of us are looking for. But you just have to remember, and once you age it, the interesting thing is now, if you eat garlic, sometimes you can reek of garlic, right? The stinking rose effect. In this instance, you take aged garlic extract, all the volatile compounds that end up making garlic kind of create that stinking rose effect actually get metabolized into new compounds. So you have new compounds that do not give you the stinking rose effect. So it's really a significant, for me, I'm always looking for things that will downregulate metabolic inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really like about aged garlic extract. They've got multiple studies that show, helping blood vessels, lowering bad cholesterol, reducing vulnerable plaques, stopping bone loss. A lot of people don't realize when you stop bone loss, you're stopping plaquing. And so all of those things add up and are important.
Would that also help with osteoporosis then?
It does. Yeah, sure. Because it stops bone loss.
Wow. With the cold and flu season, plus COVID, plus do you or do you not take a booster shot? Do you or do you not get a vaccine? We've talked about this a lot on the show. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of a lot of vaccines, primarily because of the crap, that they put into the vaccines as a preservative. I think the idea is good. I am vaccinated against COVID because I wanted to visit family members because that's important, and everybody decided we're all going to do it. My wife has gotten the flu vaccine. I have not. I'm highly considering it. Do you know what the efficacy is this year? Or do they wait until next year to tell you?
They typically, you can look it up and you can see, typically they publish that relatively quickly as what the anticipated efficacy is. Because really what it is did we get the strain right?
Got it.
Did we get the strain right and the flu vaccine? I think it's such a highly personal question nowadays. And I think that people, the one thing I would say, even if you decide to get vaccinated or not, but if you get vaccinated, just don't think that that's the vaccine saves the day.
Right.
Because obviously people that are getting vaccinated still are getting sick. And so you still want to participate. And well, what other things can I do about my health? I need to be proactive. I have to stop thinking about magic bullets. Even though I get the value of COVID vaccine and what it means for a lot of people, at the same time, are you eating better? Are you exercising? Are you taking things like aged garlic extract? There's another one that's really good, Moducare, plant sterols and sterilants, first developed in South Africa by Dr. Buick for HIV virus. So because they were giving this plant extract to indigent populations because it was an inexpensive solution. And they showed some interesting studies with it. And so far, a whole bunch of studies have come out since then that show, your immune system's in balance.
Right.
And when you get under stress, your ability to fight gets out of balance. When you take plant sterols and sterol glucosides, they help your immune system to balance the teeter-totter so that you have an appropriate inflammatory response and you have an appropriate response against invaders. And so, the interesting thing about this is that they had to get the right ratio of sterols and sterilants. So it's 100-to-1 ratio that they started. They kept doing these ratios of these sterols to sterilants, which are basically plant fats, and then giving them to people and looking at what's the immune response? What's the immune response? And all of that resulted in the development of Moducare, which is an immune modulator, immune balancer, instead of an immune booster. Which if you think about, echinacea is a good immune booster, olive leaf extract, good immune booster. So Moducare, you want to think about being on, at least for me, I like staying on it year round because I always want my immune system to be in balance, and it's an immune food. You could think of it that way. And I like the thought of aged garlic extract year round. because it's keeping my immune system in check. And then if I get a bug, well, then I think of the immune boosters and I may reach for that for temporary benefit.
Even taking anything, and whether it's a vaccine or a supplement, if you do that, my understanding is that the idea is that it will lessen the cold, the flu, or virus.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And that's the hope.
The idea to reduce the severity,
right,
the incidence, and the duration. Those are the three keys to any type of viral insult. How am I going to move that needle so that I'm more resilient? That's the other new big term is metabolic reserve. How much gas is in my tank? Metabolic reserve to fight the good fight if I get a bug. And then the other one is metabolic durability, capacity, and resiliency. So if I get a bug, how well do I come out of it? And I think there's a lot to do with that. It has to do with, we've seen the studies, people that eat healthier, less frequency or incidence on flus, people that exercise regularly, have a stronger immune system, or less prone for grabbing these viruses. So, I think it's just important for people to go, okay, what nutrients are important? Yeah, D, zinc, C, everybody's heard about that now. And I think they're really good. But then what are the more supportive things that give me that metabolic reserve? It's why I like aged garlic extract. It's why I like plant sterols and sterolins, because I'm keeping my body at its best capacity.
What can we do about stress? Everybody's under stress today. Okay. Just thinking about COVID alone, the flu season, the holidays, the stress of being with or without family is really big. Is there anything that you can recommend that we can do? I've gone back to the gym, not for cardio, by the way, just for weights, because I can do weights with a mask, but with the cardio, I can't. And there are people in the gym. So I want to protect myself with that.
Of course. Yeah, look, I think the first thing is we have to realize that stress, we're going to have to deal with it. And I think before COVID, I would say the same thing. You have to cope with your stress. So one is exercise is awesome. I teach breathing techniques. I teach box breathing, and you inhale for 4 seconds, exhale, hold it, exhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. So it's a box. 4 in, hold 4, 4 out, hold 4. Turns out that when you do that type of breath work for 3 minutes, it resets your nervous system. Wow. So it's resetting your diaphragm, and the signal is to take your body out of fight or flight and into a more diaphragmatic breath state where you're getting a deeper breath. Because when we get under stress, we breathe more shallow. We breathe more shallow. We don't oxygenate our tissues as well. So that simple breathing exercise, 2-3 minutes, twice a day. On each exhale, when you're exhaling, I tell people, hey, you should really think about the stress that you're letting go of the day so far. Now, what have I taken on? I'm going to breathe that out. And at the end of that 3 minutes, you want to be grateful for something. So think about. I was
just going to say that.
Yeah, you want to be grateful. And then the other piece is you could take things for stress. In fact, aged garlic helps to remodel your central nervous system signaling, but a couple other interesting ingredients. Relora, for example, RELORA, really helps people with managing anxiety, stress-related eting. If you're going into the evening and you're looking at that bag of potato chips and you're saying, I love you, you probably are under the duress of stress, and you're getting stress-induced appetite cravings. The other one that's really good is theanine, which is an extract from tea that helps calm the nerves while making you focus better. So, the usual: exercise, gratefulness, breathe, do something you enjoy, right? Try to take a little time each day and do something you enjoy, because we've kind of lost a little bit of that.
Sure have.
Yeah.
We sure have. Jim, we're running out of time. Would like to have you come back again soon. It's been a long time, and
I know.
that's because you were moving, and we actually been trying to get together for a couple, almost 2 months, but scheduling and
Finally did it.
we finally did it. And maybe you come on our cooking segment, our cooking show, and cook with me sometime.
Oh, I would love to do that. My father, who just recently passed away, God rest his soul, was was National Chef of the Year 3 years, and was in the Order of the Golden Toque, which is only 100 chefs in the world.
Wow.
Until one passes away, another one does not get inducted. So he was one of the most decorated chefs in the world. And I got to grow up with that. So I'm a real foodie. I would love to come on your cooking show.
All right, good. We're going to arrange that. That's Mark Alyn Cooks Your Dinner. We'll do that either during the holiday season or just after in January.
Awesome.
And I am grateful to you, Jim, for being our guest. Jim LaValle, been a semi-regular here on Late Night Health over the years. Nice to see you again. Hold on a second. I'm Mark Alyn. If you want information on Jim's book, we've got it right there. And you can also find out more about Jim at latenighthealth.com.